In the summer of 210 BC, the most powerful man in China died, but no one was allowed to say it. His body was sealed inside a royal carriage. The imperial convoy continued moving west, as if the emperor were still alive. And to hide the smell of a rotting corpse, they loaded the carts with salted fish. Inside that moving procession, while soldiers marched and officials bowed, a political conspiracy was quietly unfolding. One that would soon change the fate of an empire. That year, Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China, had begun what would become his final journey. For years after unifying the warring states, he continued to travel across his vast empire. These journeys were called imperial tours, part display of power, part inspection of the provinces. But there was another reason he kept traveling. The emperor feared death. He believed that somewhere in the world there existed an elixir of immortality. Court alchemists mixed strange medicines. Magicians promised eternal life. The emperor even sent expeditions across the eastern sea in search of mythical islands. None of it worked. Time, however, continued moving forward. During the Fifth Imperial Tour, the enormous royal convoy traveled north. Eventually, it reached a place called Shaqiu. Today, it lies in Hebei province, but at the time it was an imperial palace used during travel. There, suddenly, the emperor fell ill. The historical records do not describe the illness in detail, only that it came quickly. Within days, Qin Shi Huang, the man who had unified China, was dead. But the emperor's death created an immediate crisis. Who would inherit the throne? In ancient China, imperial succession usually followed a simple rule. The eldest son inherits the empire. This system is known as primogeniture. Under that rule, the rightful heir was the emperor's eldest son, Prince Fusu. But Fusu was not present. At the time, he was far away in the northern frontier, serving alongside the General Meng Tian and supervising the armies guarding the Great Wall. Meanwhile, beside the emperor's body in Shaqiu, only three key figures remained. Li Si, the imperial chancellor, the highest administrative official in the Qin Empire, second only to the emperor himself. Zhao, a powerful palace official responsible for the emperor's carriages and also the former tutor of the emperor's younger son. And that younger son, Prince Hu Hai. Zhao quickly understood the situation. If the emperor's death became public immediately, the throne would pass to Fusu. But that outcome was dangerous for him. Zhao had a close relationship with Hu Hai. If Hu Hai became emperor, Zhao could continue controlling the court. But if Fusu inherited the throne, everything might change. Fusu had long worked with General Meng Tian in the north. If Fusu became emperor, Meng Tian might rise to dominate the government. Both Zhao and Li Si could lose their influence, or worse. So Zhao proposed something extraordinary. Do not announce the emperor's death. At first, Li Si refused. This was not merely deception. It meant lying to the entire empire. But Zhao pressed him. If Fusu became emperor, their power might disappear. If Hu Hai became emperor, they could remain in control. Eventually, Li Si agreed. And with that decision, a conspiracy began. The emperor was already dead, but the imperial convoy continued moving west. The body of Qin Shi Huang was placed inside a sealed royal carriage known as a wench. From the outside, nothing appeared unusual. The emperor simply seemed to be resting during the journey. Officials continued reporting government matters from outside the carriage. Zhao delivered responses in the emperor's name. The vast procession moved forward as if the ruler of the empire were still alive. But soon another problem emerged. It was summer. The emperor's body began to decay. A foul smell spread from the carriage. To solve this, Zhao ordered the attendants to load the carts with large quantities of salted fish. In ancient Chinese texts, these fish were called baoyu, not the delicacy we know today as abalone, but heavily salted dried fish with a strong and penetrating odor. The smell was overwhelming, strong enough to mask the scent of decay. Anyone near the convoy would simply assume the carts were transporting preserved food. No one imagined that inside the emperor's carriage lay the corpse of the ruler of China. As the convoy slowly returned toward the capital of Xianyang, Zhao and Li Si carried out the most important part of their plan. They forged an imperial decree. The document claimed it was the emperor's final command. It contained 2 orders. First, Prince Fusu was commanded to commit suicide. Second, the throne would pass to Prince Hu Hai. The decree was sent north. When Fusu received the command, he did not doubt its authenticity. In the Qin Empire, the emperor's order was absolute. To disobey was unthinkable. Fusu obeyed the command. He ended his own life. General Meng Tian was soon arrested. With that, the northern military power that might have supported Fusu was removed. By the time the imperial convoy finally returned to Xianyang, everything had been prepared. Only then was the emperor's death officially announced. Qin Shi Huang had passed away. Prince Hu Hai ascended the throne. History remembers him as Qin Heir Shi, the second emperor of Qin. Few people knew what had truly happened during that long journey back to the capital. Inside the emperor's carriage lay a dead ruler. Outside, carts of salted fish hid the smell of decay. And within that moving convoy, a political coup had already reshaped the future of the empire, because only 3 years later the Qin dynasty would collapse, and the greatest empire China had yet seen would vanish almost as suddenly as its first emperor had died.